tonight on KBC Channel 1.
On the show tonight, tuko sherehe na itaki hasira, Afrobeat Wave 2020.
Gengeton, Maestro, Bogi Genje are also in the mix.
Bogi Genje na manishani baddest unit.
Mina daini mangwete msonge uko kando jumindo mtambo na nacheza kama Rambo.
Theatre has been competing with the digital space for long. The 21st century is all about digital space.
10 p.m. it is, baby.
Tuko sherehe na itaki hasira.
On the next episode of Ashoka.
I take an oath, Mother, that I will find Dastan and I'll make sure he gets punished. Give me your permission, Your Highness. I am very eager to find and severely punish that Dastan.
You are not coming with me.
How can you send Ashok to face him after all?
I can't stop him from discharging his duties, Queen Charumitra.
Good Morning Kenya, GMK, will host the Deputy Director John Lolkoloi of Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission on Wednesday, 18th November at 8 a.m. The areas of discussion will include corruption loopholes and unethical practices within public finance management in Kenya, public finance management, steps taken by EACC to fight corruption, role of the public in corruption prevention and prevalent forms of corruption. EACC, tuangamize ufisadi, tujenge Kenya.
Well, a very good evening to you. You are just in time for Channel 1 News Hour. Well, indeed, it is a day when the Ministry of Education has unveiled the reviewed school calendar, and this means that all schools will be opening officially on the 4th of January 2021. We have all those details coming right your way on Channel 1 News Hour. Let's also focus on other stories that are coming up in the news in the highlights.
All schools will reopen fully on the 4th of January 2021. This will apply to PP1 and 2, grade 1, 2 and 3, class 5, 6 and 7, and Form 1, 2 and 3 learners.
All learners to resume in-person learning on the 4th of January 2021 as government reviews the school calendar. Pandemic pain. Government cautious in testing COVID-19 vaccines not cleared by WHO as counties battle spike in infections. And the BBI registry. DP Ruto calls for room to amend the BBI document, warns against hardline positions. Welcome back. My name is Catherine Achieng'a. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Lensa Odingo. Remember, we are also live on Facebook, KBC Channel 1 TV. You can also watch us on YouTube as well as on Twitter at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle at Kato Achieng'a. Give us your feedback. Of course, we will be glad to sample some of the views that you have regarding the program. But first things first, let's focus on the stories that have been making headlines today. Now we start off with the latest from the Ministry of Education, which is now saying that all learners will report to school on the 4th of January 2021 in the latest review of the school calendar by the government. Now, Education CS Professor George Magoha, announcing the new dates, also issued a detailed examination calendar for Class 8 and Form 4 candidates who are expected to sit for their national examinations in March next year. Jacqueline Wambiru with details of the revised school calendar that has generated concerns over the medical cover for teachers who may contract COVID-19 in the line of duty.
President Uhuru Kenyatta, in his 13th address since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, directed the Ministry of Education to issue a revised school calendar to prepare learners and schools for resumption of learning.
With respect to the examination classes that have already resumed learning, I hereby order that they continue with their learning and examination preparations, but under heightened health safety measures, and with that, also order that all basic education classes resuming in-person learning in January of 2021.
And in line with this directive, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha met stakeholders to chart the way forward. And after a closed-door meeting, they emerged to announce the new dates for Term 2 and Term 3. The revised calendar would see all learners, with the exception of Grade 4 learners and candidates, resume for second term in January 2021 until 19th March of 2021. Third term will kick off on 10th of May to 16th of July 2021.
The primary 1 and 2, grade 1, 2 and 3, class 5, 6 and 7, and from 1, 2 and 3 learners will start their second term on the 4th of January 2021 and end on the 19th of March 2021, together with grade 4 candidates. Together with grade 4 and the examination classes, which are basically class 8 and Form 4.
Current grade 4 learners will be on holiday during Term 3 of continuing students and transit to grade 5 on 26th of July alongside all other classes for uniformity. A 7-week holiday for learners, with the exception of candidates, is planned from 20th March 2021 to 9th of May 2021 to allow for the administration and marking of KCPE and KCSE examinations.
Number 4. All learners except Class 8 and Form 4 candidates will proceed for a 7-week holiday to allow for KCPE and KCSE examination administration and marking.
Kenya Certificate of Primary Education will have rehearsals on Friday the 19th of March 2021, with examinations kicking off on Monday 22nd to Wednesday the 23rd 2021. Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education candidates will have rehearsals on Thursday 25th of March 2021 and examinations begin on 26th of March 2021 to April 21st 2021. The issuance of the new dates come amid concerns over the safety of teachers should they contract COVID-19 while on duty, with TSC CEO Nancy Macharia seeking to set the record straight.
TSC has negotiated with the teachers' medical provider for teachers to be covered for COVID-19 related diseases or illnesses. A COVID-19 incident reporting tool using the USSD code star 202 star 07 hash star 202 star 07 hash has been set up to assist teachers report to the scheme provider any suspected or confirmed COVID cases to enable them receive care and support in the fastest way possible.
NAT Secretary General Lakelo Misori, reacting to the release of the new dates by government, called for a comprehensive medical cover and clear communication to access health services for teachers while on duty.
What we need to ask the government to do is to ask the government to ensure that NHIF is empowered, because currently there are issues related to pre-authorization, which is making even the dealing with the teachers' comprehensive medical cover become very clumsy.
Current grade 4 learners are in school and are expected to complete their second term in December alongside Class 8 and Form 4 students. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
And now the government has expressed its reservations in administering COVID-19 vaccines which have not been approved by the World Health Organization. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe in the daily COVID-19 status update said Kenya is treading cautiously despite claims of a 90% effective COVID-19 vaccine developed by an American company, Moderna. Now, Moderna says preliminary trial data shows its coronavirus vaccine is more than 90% effective. This comes as the country's COVID-19 cases shot up by 559 new cases, while 18 others succumbed to the disease. Nancy Okware with the details.
The American biotech company Moderna announced that its COVID-19 vaccine had proven to be 94.5% effective after trials were conducted on 30,000 people in the United States. The discovery coming days after the Pfizer also unveiled its vaccine, raising hopes amid the pandemic. However, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says it is not yet time to celebrate, calling for caution until the World Health Organization gives a green light on the vaccine's efficacy and safety.
Thus, Kenya will not also use as guinea pigs to test vaccines that are essentially not cleared. We are not sure about them. I think the history of vaccines elsewhere also proves us right. And if you look at some of the side effects that we have seen with vaccines that have already been launched, then you can understand why we want the vaccine yesterday, but we are also cautious.
At the same time, he cautioned Kenyans against falling prey to commercial interests at the expense of their health.
Is that we want a vaccine yesterday, but we are also careful about these announcements. Otherwise, you fall prey to just commercial operations.
These vaccines, because of their very nature, they are stored at a temperature of minus 70 to minus 80 degrees, which is not available in our normal cold chain system. And therefore, even if these vaccines become available, we will need to revamp our entire cold chain system to be able to accommodate them.
And as the world continues to wait for a breakthrough, the country recorded 559 new coronavirus cases from 3,074 samples tested, pushing the number of confirmed cases to 70,804. Within the same period, the number of fatalities rose to 1,287 after 18 more patients succumbed to the virus, while another 478 made full recovery. The health CS cautioning against flouting of COVID-19 guidelines, especially during funerals and weddings, despite the second wave of the pandemic hitting hard.
Today, you hear of funeral meetings all over the town. You hear of wedding meetings all over the towns. I am urging Kenyans that this has to come to a stop.
In the meantime, the CS held talks with officials of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union to discuss the healthcare workers' welfare in light of increased infections among them. Further, the CS has called on county administrators to be on high alert to curtail the spread of the virus within the administrative units.
The attack rate in the country is different now from county to county. And it may be necessary to take measures within counties that we are not taking in other counties.
This comes as medics were challenged to ensure proper use of PPEs while attending to patients to minimize chances of contracting the disease. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
And now Murang'a and Kirinyaga county governments have temporarily ordered the closure of their respective county headquarters, citing increased COVID-19 cases. Kirinyaga County Governor Anne Waiguru says the county government will for the next 2 weeks facilitate the testing and screening of staff with a view of stemming the spread of the virus. The development coming even as Kilifi County government announced a raft of new measures that are aimed at curbing the spread of the virus in the county.
What are you doing? A section of Kirinyaga and Murang'a County employees will for the next 2 weeks work from home as the two counties grapple with COVID-19 infections within their nerve centers.
We'll still be offering essential services, as you are aware. There are departments that have to operate. We are keeping a very skeleton staff at the moment so that we address this issue.
Murang'a and Kirinyaga announced the closure of their headquarters after some employees tested positive for COVID-19.
Effective today, we have scaled down our operations at all the county offices. due to increased cases of COVID-19. Some of our staff have been affected, even our frontline workers.
The move comes even as counties continue to be faced with the reality that the second wave of COVID-19 is spreading fast in the grassroots. The Kilifi County government announcing new measures aimed at stemming the spread of the virus in the county.
Kile ambacho kinasababisha ongezeko la idadi ya watu ambao wanaambukizwa virusi hivi ni kwa sababu watu bado wanatangamana. Na kama tujuavyo, virusi hivi vinasambazwa kwa urahisi wakati watu wanatangamana. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio changamoto kubwa ambayo tumeipata kwamba inachangia pakubwa katika kusababisha ueneaji wa maambukizi haya.
County governments have in the recent weeks been accused of doing little to protect healthcare workers against the deadly virus. The National Nurses Association calling for dialogue to avert a planned strike by frontline health workers demanding better protection in the line of duty.
Because of this high surge of infection amongst health workers, we are seeing statements here and there about labor unrest. We want to pray that it is never easy. It is never the solution to have a labor industrial action in a health care setup. We want to pray that all those issues that have been brought forth by the leadership, my colleagues in the healthcare industry, we can sit on a table and iron them out amicably without disrupting the services to the wananchi. And I'm sure this one can be done.
Healthcare workers have pointed accusing fingers at both the national and county governments for allegedly leaving them exposed in the war against COVID-19.
Our hospital's aim is to protect our frontline workers and also our patients in tandem with our tagline, which is we care. The life of frontline workers matter, without whom the battle against COVID-19 pandemic will not be won.
Medics have vowed to down their tools should the government fail to address their irreducible minimums, which include the provision of effective personal protective equipment and employment of more personnel to reinforce Kenya's war on COVID-19. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Bade.
And now the announcement by U.S. company Moderna that it has developed a new vaccine that protects against COVID-19 has been received with varied reactions. While Kenya maintains it will only administer vaccines approved by the World Health Organization, Moderna says its COVID-19 vaccine shows nearly 95% protection from the deadly virus. Caroline Kamau takes a look at this trial vaccine.
After months of global restrictions and partial lockdowns aimed at taming the spread of coronavirus that continues ravaging the entire world, there is a glimmer of hope. A US-based company, Moderna, says it has developed an RNA vaccine which has shown 95% efficacy rate. The trial involved 30,000 people in the US, with half being given 2 doses of the vaccine 4 weeks apart. The rest had dummy injections. The analysis was based on the first 95 to develop COVID-19 symptoms. RNA means part of the coronavirus genetic code is injected into the body. This starts making viral proteins, but not the whole virus, which is enough to train the immune system to attack. It should train the body to make both antibodies and another part of the immune system called T cells to fight the coronavirus. Moderna says it will apply to regulators in the US in the coming weeks. It expects to have 20 million doses available in the US. The company hopes to have up to 1 billion doses available for use around the world next year and is planning to seek approval in other countries. Kenya has, however, maintained that it will wait for an order from the World Health Organization before administering any COVID-19 vaccine to its citizenry.
If you look at some of the side effects that we have seen with vaccines that have already been launched, then you can understand why we want the vaccine yesterday, but we are also cautious. And those who are rushing to tell us about the vaccines are the ones who will rush to condemn us when we start getting people dying or having serious side effects.
Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 News.
Of course, this is still a trial vaccine. A lot more needs to be done as we wait whether WHO will clear this particular vaccine that says it is at least 95% efficacy. It has a 95% efficacy rate. So it's time for us to take a short break on Channel 1 News Hour, but allow me to acknowledge some of those who are viewing us before we take the break. We have this one from Renee and Eddie. You say you're watching us live from Kikuyu here in Nairobi. Thank you so much for watching. We also have Stephen Kimonde, who says you're watching us from Nairobi here in Kibra. We have Peter Brown saying you're watching us. You're saying I'm Hussein Denge, watching us live from Sesi in Moyale sub-county. You say you're Zamzam. You say you're locked from India. Jared Odongo Mayoya saying you're watching us from Lolongo, but you're saying that you still don't believe and trust Kagwe when it comes to issues of corona. That is your comment you've left with us. Ronald Lagat saying Eldama Ravine, you are in Eldama Ravine rather, and you're watching us live. Of course, we appreciate you giving us your feedback. You're also telling us, this is Matthias Mbithi, you're saying you're watching us from Wingi, and you're saying Kenyans no longer trust Magoha on opening dates. He keeps changing a lot, and there is no guarantee that there won't be COVID-19 in January. So keep us updated on where you're watching us from, as well as remember to leave us a brief comment. At KBC Channel 1 is our Twitter handle, at Kato Achieng'a. You can also watch us live on Facebook, KBC Channel 1 TV. We are also live on Twitter at KBC Channel 1, as well as on YouTube. For now, we take a short break, but we will be back with lots of news for you, so stay tuned.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mlitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduzi ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua free. Shilingi mbili unaweza nunua micro. Shilingi tano unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill, kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
On the next episode of Corner.
Niko na vitu mob sana za kuambia, but niko confused.
Where is your dream destination? Anywhere in the world where you absolutely must visit.
We've confirmed your opponent, Chico, the Destroyer.
Is it true what they say?
It depends on what they say. He knew about you and I. He went out of his way to split us up.
You are lying.
Welcome back. You're watching Channel 1 News Hour. Let's now shift focus and look at what's happening in the world of politics, where the Deputy President, William Ruto, says the country is headed to a lose-lose outcome from the Building Bridges initiative unless the headline position taken by some of those steering the process is relaxed. Speaking at his current residence here in Nairobi, where he met members of the Wajir County Assembly, Ruto said it was unfortunate that the BBI had turned out to be a highly controversial issue and with so many glaring gaps. Kevin Washira has the report.
Majority whip, majority leader.
Deputy President William Ruto on Monday played host to a section of the Wajir County Assembly at his current residence, where the BBI debate took center stage. The Deputy President taking issue with those driving the BBI process for refusing to accommodate amendments on the report.
We are trying to sort out a problem of divisive elections leading to a divided country. How do you sort out divisive elections leading to a divided country? By running a divisive referendum that will end up with a divided country.
According to Ruto, in order for the country to rally behind BBI, there is need to improve its presentation and content.
Do we really mean well for the country Or are we running this divisive referendum to achieve a different outcome?
Deputy President said by the look of things, it was clear some quarters were pushing for a yes or no referendum for political reasons ahead of the 2022 polls. The DP called for unity among country's leadership in mobilization of resources to combat the COVID-19 pandemic.
We need to harness, mobilize every resource, material, financial, human, to stop the coronavirus from destroying our livelihoods, our businesses, and killing our people.
This comes as Kisumu County Governor Professor Peter Achieng'a implored on those opposed to sections of the BBI report to pass the report as it is and seek to make amendments later.
Constitutional changes or constitutional development is never a one-moment affair. Let us make progress by implementing the BBI. If we think that there are more to do, the door is not closed in constitutional amendment. The Constitution itself provides means and ways of creating changes even after.
Governor Nyong'o said the constitution making is a continuous process, and even in established democracies, the legal framework is constantly under review, and as such, those opposed to the BBI report must not hold the country at ransom for their own selfish gains.
And now 30 Kenya Revenue Authority officials have pleaded not guilty to various counts of conspiracy to commit corruption, abuse of office, false entry and receiving bribes. 5 others who failed to appear in court to answer to the charges are being sought after Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti issued warrants of arrest against them. The case is set for pre-trial on the 1st of December.
While in a crackdown aimed at closing all the loopholes that led to leakages and loss of revenue, today a part of 35 accused persons from the Kenya Revenue Authority appeared before Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti on different counts. Out of the 35 Kenya Revenue Authority staff accused of various graft-related charges, 5 of them failed to show up in court, despite being served, prompting the Chief Magistrate to issue an arrest warrant against them. The 30 who appeared in court denied the charges and were each released on a cash bail of 200,000 shillings or a bond of 1 million shillings and a surety of similar amount.
We deposit the cash flow by close of business today, and if only for the reason that they could not process their deposits by 5 p.m. today, to deposit the same by noon tomorrow.
Chief Magistrate Douglas Ogoti also ordered the suspects to surrender their passports. They were also barred from accessing their offices at KRA except in the company of an investigating officer. The prosecution was also ordered to provide evidence to the Defense Counsel ahead of the pre-trial case set for Tuesday, the 1st of December 2020. Meanwhile, plea-taking of former Tetu Member of Parliament Ndungu Githinji, accused of alleged forgery with intent to forge minutes of the meeting in Kihingo Village Waredi Gardens Management One Limited, did not take place after his lawyer said Githinji had been exposed to COVID-19. Plea-taking in the case is set for the 1st of December after the required 14 days of isolation. Finally, John Achieng'a and Joshua Mugiza Asava, alias Gabriel Asava, have denied 2 charges of obtaining money by false pretense with intent to defraud Dominic Olo 3.9 million Kenyan shillings. The 2 deny the charges before Chief Magistrate Martha Mutuku. They are alleged to have purported to be in a position to secure Dominic Atinda to supply drugs to the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority between the 20th day of May and 27th August 2020. They have been released on a cash bail of 500,000 shillings or a bond of 1 million shillings and a surety of similar amount. The case will be mentioned on the 30th of November 2020. Reporting for Channel 1 News from the Milimani Locusts here in Nairobi, I'm Sarafina Robbie.
And now Kenya joined the world in marking the World Day of Remembrance of Road Traffic Victims amid disturbing statistics that reveal 3,000 people have died this year as a result of road accidents in the country. Now, the grim statistics also indicate road traffic injuries are ranked among the top 10 leading causes of death, with 1.3 million fatalities reported globally as a result of road traffic injuries. Achieng'a with the details amid calls for Kenyans to exercise road safety as the festive season beckons.
As the globe marked World Day of Remembrance of Road Traffic Victims, statistics by the National Transport and Safety Authority paint a grim picture on the country road safety status. A statement by the authority indicated that an estimated 3,000 deaths are recorded annually in Kenya as a result of road crashes, summing up to an annual economic cost of 350 billion shillings, or 3 to 5% of the GDP. Globally, about 1.3 million people die annually as a result of road traffic injuries, with more than 90% of the fatalities occurring in developing countries. Africa is reported to have the highest road traffic fatality rate of 26.6 per 100,000 population, translating to 650 deaths occurring daily. According to the victim type, in the financial year 2019-2020, a total of 3,567 fatalities were recorded in Kenya, including 1,376 pedestrians, 565 passengers, 875 motorcyclists, 309 drivers, 373 pillion passengers, and 69 pedal cyclists. NTSA advocates for the escalation of the road safety global agenda. Meanwhile, the move by the National Transport and Safety Authority to launch a mass enrollment of digital driving licenses in Wajir County has brought the much-needed relief for the residents who for a long time were forced to travel to other counties while incurring extra costs to obtain such services.
Watu wanatoka Mandera kwenda kutafuta digital driving license Garissa. Ingekuwa ni mzuri every month wakuja Wajir, wakuja Mandera, ili watu wasitoke safari mbali waende watafute kitu, sababu saa hii economy ni mbaya.
Tuenda Garissa inakula, yani inatumika gharama mingi sana, almost 10,000. Pengine unalala lodge, unakula cha hoteli, so fare pia ni iko ndani. So tunaomba serikali hii mambo hii lesson ilete hapa permanent.
About 5 days since the exercise commenced, long queues have been witnessed, with the Wajir East Member of Parliament Rashid Kasim Amin now joining calls by the residents for the NTSA to set up a desk at the region's Huduma Center in a bid to bring their services closer.
If we register about 1,500, that's a huge amount of money. So if this is a continuous process, then NTSA is going to generate money on behalf of the government of Kenya, and that is an income for the country as well. So basically, I will encourage this office to be fully furnished, fully operational, fully staffed, so that these services can continue to be rendered for the people of Wajir County.
NTSA's Central Kenya Regional Manager Bora Guyo says that about 300 individuals have already obtained their digital licenses since the exercise commenced in Wajir County 5 days ago.
Mine is also to appeal to the resident of Wajir to come in large number and register, enroll. Please, we have brought these services closer to you, and we want to appeal to you that you utilize this opportunity.
For Channel 1 News, I'm Achieng'a.
And now, over 300 fishermen who depended on Yala swamp ecosystem have been rendered jobless after River Yala burst its bank, reclaiming the wetland. Separately, police in Nakuru are investigating a fake court order that directed public service vehicles to resume operations within the central business district. More details in the county briefs.
River Yala burst its banks, leaving the fishing community unsure of their future. The residents say a burst dike has drained a man-made lake, leaving them without a source of livelihood. The community are now left to literally hunt for fish, raising concerns among environmentalists.
Any relevant body to assist us in reconstruction of that dike to make our daily activities go on smoothly.
Elsewhere, police in Nakuru have launched investigations into the source of a fake court order that ordered the return of PSV to the Central Business District. The probe was instituted after it came to light that a magistrate court order had allegedly been forged and an order included. The order in possession by Matatu officials had a fifth segment directing that they be allowed back to the stages in the CBD pending the hearing and determination of the case.
Sisi mambo ya order kuwa fake hatujui, and we still insist ile order tulipewa ni genuine until proved otherwise.
And farmers and residents of Chogoria village of Mara, Tharaka Nithi County have a reason to smile following the planting of 23,000 trees in a bid to take advantage of the November and December rains and reduce global warming. Residents received up to 50 seedlings to plant in their homes, with Professor Erastus Njoka of Chuka University calling on Kenyans to plant trees that have a lower water intake.
Miti inazuia umomonyoko wa udongo na mafuriko. Wakati hakuna miti, mvua inanyesha, yote inaenda kwa mito. Alafu watu wanasema maji yamekuwa mengi na ni miti haiko.
The government is planning to open offices whose occupants will be the representatives of the Attorney General in all the 47 counties. The move is meant to speed up service delivery besides bringing such services closer to the people in line with the developed units of government in the 47 counties. Yusufar, Channel 1 News.
And now environmentalists in Trans Nzoia County are raising concern over wanton destruction of forest cover and wetlands in the region. The group argues that the continued illegal exploitation of water catchment areas such as Mount Elgon has left the region badly exposed to vagaries of the weather.
Residents of Cherangani and Mount Elgon regions have been urged to safeguard the environment and plant indigenous trees to protect water catchment areas.
Mwito wangu ni kusema serikali ingeweka wananchi katika sehemu zao wapande miti za kienyeji ambazo zinavutia mvua, zinavutia ndege, zinavutia nyani, lakini mazingira yake inapendeza kwa sababu miti za kienyeji haziharibu chochote katika ardhi.
Environmentalists have blamed the brazen destruction of water catchment areas on a casserole of issues, among them poor implementation of environmental policies.
Wangara alipotoka, tunahitaji kina Wangare wengine wakuweko. Maana nani atatetea miti pasipokuwa na mtu mwenye anapenda miti? Hatuwezi kukua tu na kila mtu, lakini kuna watu ambao wanapenda miti.
Meanwhile, a monthly cleanup of Malindi town has resumed after the exercise was put on hold due to COVID-19.
Tumeamua kuwaweka katika hii program ya town cleaning, which is done on a monthly basis. Every month we set a date and clean our town.
It is our responsibility as the police also to be involved in all community activities, especially at this corona era. I'll also like to inform our people that don't wear a mask because you have seen a policeman. Don't wear a mask because you have seen the Land Cruiser. Wear a mask because corona is real and corona kills.
The multi-sectoral exercise aims to lift the status of Malindi as a world-class tourist destination. Yusufar, Channel 1 News.
Good Morning Kenya, GMK, will host the Deputy Director John Lolkoloi of Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission on Wednesday, 18th November at 8 a.m. The areas of discussion will include corruption loopholes and unethical practices within public finance management in Kenya, public finance management, steps taken by EACC to fight corruption, role of the public in corruption prevention and prevalent forms of corruption. EACC, tuangamize ufisadi, tujenge Kenya.
Next on
I just wanted to remind you that you owe us a lot of money.
He mistreated her and he locked her up. We even had to find a locksmith to get her out of their house.
And the thing is, Margarita told me the only way to resolve this is if Francisco drops the charge. Juana, we need to give him whatever he wants, anything.
Francisco, let me help you.
Don't you dare move! Put your hands in the air!
Hang on, I have nothing to do with this.
I'm not really sure that I can handle all this.
If you appear to be weak, they are going to prey on you.
In love with Ramon.
And now in other news, Narok County Commissioner Evans Achieng'a is raising concern over the increasing number of uncollected identification cards and birth certificates at the Narok Huduma Center. Achieng'a says they are now collaborating with chiefs to help in distribution of the documents to residents within their jurisdiction.
Speaking during a tour of Huduma Center, Narok County Commissioner Evans Achieng'a urged members of the public who had applied for the vital documents to collect them at their designated offices.
If you applied for a birth certificate or an ID card, they are ready for collection. So please come for them, because we do not want to keep those documents. These are individual documents that must be kept by the applicant.
Currently, his office is in collaboration with area chiefs to distribute the documents to the locals. The commissioner is further calling on residents to seek services at the Huduma Center, as it was operational after a few months' closure due to COVID-19. This even as he said that he had initiated talks with the National Transport and Safety Authority to introduce issuance of digital licenses at Huduma Center instead of Narok residents traveling to Nakuru for the documents.
There are some departments that are not here. For example, NTSA, we will pick up with them so that instead of traveling to Nakuru to get the digital license, they will be able now to get the digital licenses here in Narok County.
Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
And now herders in Kajiado County are expressing concern over the emergence of a plant that is posing a threat to the animals. The herders say the crop, which is not fit for consumption, is posing a threat to animals whose grazing land is fast diminishing. They are now calling on the government to come to their aid.
The Ipomia plant, a green leafy plant that is posing a threat to herders in Kajiado County. The herders say the crop has occupied 25% of the land, reducing pasture for their livestock. The herders say the number of animals in the region is reducing by 15% annually due to the effects of the plant, as it is not a fit for consumption by either domestic or wild animals owing to its awful smell. They also say no plant can grow next to the plant.
Kuna sehemu za Kajiado ambayo wafugaji tayari washahama. Wamena mvua inanyesha lakini hakuna nyasi, washahama. Serikali ya county ama serikali kuu isaidia watu, itafute namna ya kutafuta naye kama ni watu wa kung'oa hii ama waajiri vijana ama wale wasio na kazi waingie ili waweze kung'oa hii magugu.
As if that's not enough, the plant is also killing the honey industry. Once this plant flowers, another danger looms as bees collect nectar from the plant, endangering human beings even more. The honey is said to make consumers drowsy after consumption.
Tumeona kwamba watoto wanaenda wakati wanaenda kuvuna hii asali, wanakuja wanakuwa wanatapika, wanahara kwa sababu ya hii mmea.
The livestock do not consume it. When it rains as it has rained now, it is the first one to grow, and it has invaded more land, and every year it is invading more.
According to the Agricultural Sector Development Support Program County Coordinator Halima Nkari, the plant poses a big danger to livestock as the plant is spreading fast in the region. They're now calling on the government to intervene. Yusuf Farah, Channel 1 News.
And now in the world of business, Kenya's first ever data commissioner, Immaculate Kasait, has vowed to expedite the rollout of the electronic civil registry. Kasait, who was sworn into office today, has said the office will embark on setting up institutions that will hasten the issuance of Huduma number, which was halted by the High Court in 2019. The data commissioner has also promised to settle data disputes which have slowed the collection of key data on security grounds.
The Communications Authority says that there has been an increase in the cases of cybersecurity threats in Kenya, including global increase in malware, weak regulations, as well as gaps in cybersecurity skills in the region.
Fulfill my duty as data commissioner.
The newly sworn-in data commissioner, Immaculate Kasait, says her office will be responsible for the enforcement of Data Protection Act, with duties such as exercising oversight on data processing operations, promoting self-regulation, among other policy issues.
The role of the data protection commissioner is to make sure data processors, who in this case are government agencies or are financiers or are insurance companies or are SMEs, that the data they pick about Kenyans, they store it appropriately. It is used according to what they have said they are using it for.
Parliament gave a nod to the appointment of Immaculate Kasait to take up the data commissioner's role following nomination by President Uhuru Kenyatta on October 13, 2020. Kasait, who until her nomination was the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC Director of Voter Registration and Election Operations, has called on Kenyans to start utilizing the office.
We begin as Kenyans, when you complain to the data commissioner, then they investigate and confirm if there is a violation, and there are penalties under the Act in terms of that. It will require setting up human resource, putting in place finances, making sure that we have the necessary procedures, processes, and regulations. That might take time. What I want to encourage Kenyans is in the event that anyone has a concern in as far as data is concerned, as we set up and take up the office formally, they can address their concerns to the Ministry of ICT, the PS, and attention it to the Data Commissioner.
Kasait's approval paves way for the rollout of an electronic civil registry or Huduma number, which was temporarily halted by the High Court in 2019. A panel of 3 judges had ruled that the rollout of the Huduma number was unconstitutional, considering at the time there were no explicit data protection laws and a substantive data commissioner. Alan Aoko, Channel 1 Business.
And now the government is urging local manufacturers to show up production capacity, leveraging on value addition ahead of the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement due in 1 month. Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Betty Minus says the agreement creates an opportunity to deepen trade as well as grow local industries. So far, agro-processing has been identified as a low-hanging fruit to boost industrialization in Kenya.
To date, 31 countries have both signed and approved the ratification of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. As such, come January 1st, 2021, Djibouti, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Kenya and Uganda will begin a reduction in their tariffs, a linear reduction on 90% of tariff lines that will result in the elimination of tariffs on intra-regional imports over a period of 5 years to 10 for those classified by the United Nations as least developed countries.
Manufacturers and all Kenyan, entrepreneurs really need to know that these markets are open for them. So it is now for us and for them to ramp up production with certainty.
In efforts geared at spurring industrial growth, Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Betty Minor is urging local manufacturers to increase production and diversify their products to suit the larger markets.
I think the challenge that we might face is, of course, not everybody who has signed the CFTA is a neighbor, so there will also be logistical challenges, but that is also an opportunity for other logistics and service providers to step up and begin to consider. So for a message, for instance, to Kenya Airways is to expand its cargo freight capacity, for instance, and especially with a focus on the continent.
In light of the consequences of a possible phasing out of the African Growth and Opportunity Act in 2025, Kenya has already entered into negotiations with the aim of establishing a free trade agreement with the United States.
As you're aware, we are currently negotiating a free trade agreement with the United States, and those negotiations have just gone through 2 rounds. We've also finalized the technical negotiations for continued trade with the United Kingdom post-Brexit through a UK Economic Partnership Agreement that will also take effect from the 1st of January 2021.
The United Kingdom is also approaching a number of countries, Kenya included, for a post-Brexit trade deal.
As it is, though Kenya has negotiated this alone, given its the fact that it is not a least developed country, we have negotiated it in a manner that provides an opportunity for accession by other East African partner states who wish to join it.
Going forward, it is envisaged that industrialization will play a critical role in the realization of a 15% contribution of the manufacturing sector to Kenya's GDP from the current 8.4% target by 2022. Regina Manyara reporting for Channel 1 Business.
And now the Nairobi Securities Exchange has extended the suspension of Nairobi Business Ventures NBV from trading at the bourse. NSE says the extension will allow the completion of the company's restructuring process that includes a share split, allotment and issuance of shares to Delta International FZE. Now a notice from the Nairobi Stock Exchange says NBV, which is listed on the growth and enterprise market segment under the commercial and services sector, remains suspended from the trading floor of the NSE until 30th November 2020. NBV Limited deals primarily in the sale of shoes and leather accessories, which are rebranded under the name K Shoes. The shoes and accessories are mostly imported from China and India and rebranded for the Kenyan domestic market. At the time of suspension last year, NBV shares were trading at 0.71 cents each, with a market capitalization of 28 million shillings, with 38.6 million shillings. Other firms suspended at the NSC for a variety of reasons include Deacons, Athi River Mining, Kenya Airways, National Bank of Kenya, and Mumias Sugar Company. And now farmers from Lower Kuja irrigation scheme in Nyatike, Migori County have been urged to take advantage of the expansive scheme in the Nyakwera to diversify their crops and ensure food security in the region. Experts say that that with an annual production of over 10,000 tons of paddy rice during good harvest, farmers can exploit other business ventures to generate more income, especially from rice farming.
Rice, rice and more rice for as far as the eye can see. The giant scheme has not only been a food basket for the county, but has also provided employment opportunities for majority of the youth. With an average production of 40-90 kg bags per acre of paddy, the farmers here are hopeful that they will soon invest in other cash and food crops to supplement rice.
Kuna pesa yangu kama 1,000 ama 700, hiyo ni pesa mzuri sana kama unaweza fanyia kwa siku. Na unachukua hiyo pesa kwa kitu kama saa 8 unarudi kwako. Haulipi nyumba, haununui maji.
In the past, Lower Kuja was a flood-prone zone where little could be gotten in terms of agriculture. But with the introduction of rice production, now we can say our people are happy.
The recent directive by the government to all institutions to consider purchasing local rice from farmers has also provided ready market for their produce. This development project, however, has had its fair share of challenges, and farmers are calling on the responsible authorities to mitigate if they are to continue empowering themselves.
The power went and up to now it has not come back. So on following up with the KPLC, we were told that our transformer is faulty and it's supposed to be replaced. But so far it has not been replaced. So we are just waiting.
This notwithstanding, in its peak, heavy trucks loaded with rice leave the farmers with close to 150 million shillings in circulation every harvesting season. With a target of 1 ton per day to mill, the government has been called upon to supply farmers with the necessary farm input, which they struggle to acquire during the planting season.
And I plead with the county government that you consider giving our people seeds, consider our people with the fertilizers, consider our people with the farm tools and the tractors which can be hired at affordable rate.
Even us as the government, we have given them alternative. We have Western Kenya Rice Mills, a subsidiary of National Irrigation Board, who is available to take their produce. And also Lake Basin Development Authority is also available to purchase paddy rice from them.
The Lower Kuja Irrigation Scheme Management says most farmers prefer selling the middlemen instead of agricultural trading agencies because of their ready market they offer, besides their good pricing. However, the farmers have been steered to believe that there is still room for growth in the scheme that had been set aside for cultivation of potatoes, among other cash crops. Alan Aoko, Channel 1 Business.
And now Moody's Investor Service has affirmed the African Development Bank's AAA credit rating with a stable outlook. Moody's Investor Service said in an annual credit analysis that the credit profile of African Development Bank is supported by the bank's robust capital buffers and superior risk management, which mitigate risks. Details of this and other stories in our Africa Business Roundup.
Moody's added that the bank's ample liquidity buffer and unfettered access to the international capital markets also supports its ability to meet its debt service obligations. The bank has a long track record of being the premier development institution in Africa and benefits from shareholders' ability and willingness to support its development objectives, exemplified by the significant contributions of highly rated non-regional member countries. The AAA rating from Moody's follow earlier affirmations of the AAA rating of the bank, with a stable outlook by other leading rating agencies, namely Fitch Ratings, Standard & Poor's Global Ratings, and a Japan Credit Rating Agency. Meanwhile, the Southern African Development Community has launched a $20 million regional appeal for support to control the outbreak of the devastating African migratory locust in the region. The appeal follows the continuous threat posed by the locusts that have invaded the region since the beginning of the year. The first outbreak was reported in February and affected Botswana, Eswatini, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, Tanzania, and Zambia. At the time, the affected member states were able to control the swarms. However, there was a resurgence of the locust in May 2020, which affected Angola, Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. The funds will cater for emergency locust response and preparedness, building emergency regional response capacity, risk communication and recovery, and resilience building of affected communities. They will also be used for cross-border protocols. And the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and the United Nations Development Programme have launched a plan to help public and private sectors identify and prioritize investments contributing to the sustainable development goals in the continent. The OECD UNDP framework for SDG-aligned finance presented at the Paris Peace Forum identifies solutions to shift the trillions of dollars available internationally towards a more sustainable and resilient investments and to further mobilize investment, especially to least developed countries, small islands, developing states, and developing countries. With an expected $700 billion drop in external finance to developing countries this year, the financing needed to meet the global goals is at risk of collapse, threatening decades of progress on poverty alleviation and sustainable development. But trillions of dollars available in the financial system could be better aligned with SDGs to curb this trend.
And now 15 countries have formed the world's largest trading bloc, covering nearly a third of the global economy. The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership is made up of 10 Southeast Asian countries, as well as South Korea, China, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. The deal excludes the US, which withdrew from a rival Asia-Pacific Trade Pact in 2017. Details of this and other stories in our Global Business Roundup.
President Donald Trump pulled the United States out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership shortly after taking office. Negotiations over the new RCEP deal began in 2012, and it was finally signed on Sunday on the sidelines of a meeting of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. The RCEP isn't as comprehensive and doesn't cut tariffs as deeply as the TPP's successor, but many analysts think RCEP's sheer size makes it more significant. While China already has a number of bilateral trade agreements agreements, this is the first time it has signed onto a regional multilateral trade pact. The new free trade bloc will be bigger than both the US, Mexico, Canada agreement and the European Union. Meanwhile, multinational retail corporation Walmart is selling a majority stake in Japanese supermarket chain CU to invest firm KKR and e-commerce company Rakuten for over $1 billion after years of struggling to make money amid stiff competition. The deal, which values CU at $1.65 billion, comes after on-off speculation about the US retail giant looking to exit Japan. It is well below the 300-500 billion yen it reportedly sought after years ago. KKR will buy 65% of CU, while Rakuten, which already has an online venture with the chain, will acquire 20% stake. Walmart will retain 15%, the company said in a joint statement on Monday. And Japan's economy has bounced back from recession with growth of 5% in the third quarter of this year. It had seen its economy shrink during 2020 as lockdowns hit its manufacturing sector and consumer spending. The world's third biggest economy is now showing signs of recovery, although some analysts cautioned that further growth is likely to be modest. Asian economies are leading the way for a global economic recovery in what some have called a Zoom boom. This refers to the increase in demand for screens and laptops as more people work from home and use online meeting platforms like Zoom. Asian economies are among the largest producers of laptops, communication equipment and other electronics. Asian economies are among the largest producers of laptops, communications equipment and other electronics.
And in sports, Olympic and world champions Conseslus Kipruto was on Monday charged with the offence of defilement in a Kapsabet court. Kipruto denied the charges before Principal Magistrate Dio Charo and was released on a 200,000 shilling cash bail. Kipruto, the two-time 3,000-meter steeplechase world champion who was arrested in November 11th, is accused of defiling a 15-year-old within Nandi County between the dates of October 20th and 21st this year in Tiron Village, Motuot location. The case was filed at Mosorot police post by the teenager's parents, where they alleged that their daughter, who went missing from home, was staying at the athlete's home in Chesumui. The case was scheduled for hearing in May 10th, 2021. And Football Kenya Federation FKF President Nick Mwendwa says the federation is not intent on dismissing Harambee Stars head coach Jacob Ghost-Mulee after the team lost 2-1 away to Comoros in the second leg of the 2022 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier tie in Moroni. However, Mwendwa has admitted that the only road to redemption for Stars is to ensure victory against Egypt and Togo in the remaining matches.
Harambee Stars went into the match seeking their first win in the qualification campaign as they had drawn 3 of their last matches against Egypt, Togo and Comoros. However, the Jacob Ghost-Mulee coach side could not manage to secure all 3 points as Comoros emerged 2-1 winners in Moroni.
Kwa sasa hali si rahisi, tunajua kwamba itabidi labda tuweze kushinda kule Togo na tuweze kumfunga Misri nyumbani. Ni mechi mbili ambazo ni ngumu, lakini kwa kabumbu unajua unasema it's not over until it's over. Kwa hivyo bado tuna matumaini kuona kwamba tunaweza tukazoa hizo pointi zetu 3, basi tutakuwa tunamaliza na pointi 9, lakini pia itategemea na wa Misri vile wanacheza na Togo mechi ya marudiano. Kwa ni mechi ngumu, tunaelekea Lome mwezi wa 3 na alafu Misri aje hapa nyumbani. Kwa hivyo ni mechi ambazo ukiziangalia ni mechi nzito, lakini haimaanishi kwamba ni mechi ambazo hatuwezi tukazoa pointi.
Courtesy of goals from Mohamed Ben Al-Fadou and Matoi Faiz in either side of the half, with Masoud Juma netting the consolation goal for the visitors. FKF chair Nick Mwendwa now believes it will be hard for Kenya to qualify for AFCON for the second successive time, and also said he will not heed to fans' calls to fire coach Mulee, who was handling the team for the second second successive match. As it stands, Kenya will hope Togo beats Egypt at home tomorrow to throw the group wide open. Kenya will have to wait until next year to host the Pharaohs on March 22nd before wrapping up their campaign with a trip to Lome against Togo on March 30th. Meanwhile, Al Ahly defender Mohamed Hani has been ruled out of Egypt's Africa Cup of Nations qualifying game against Togo. The defender suffered a back injury in their first outing against the Sparrowhawks on Saturday, but managed to feature for the duration of the game. The Pharaohs secured a 1-0 victory in the encounter, with Mahmoud Hamdi El Wench scoring the only goal with a header.
And now Liverpool midfielder Georginio Wijnaldum scored twice in a comfortable victory for the Netherlands. And elsewhere, Italy scored a 2-0 win over Poland to move them a point above the Netherlands at the top of the table.
Captain Wijnaldum slotted in from close range when he was unmarked after 6 minutes before easily tapping in the second goal. Memphis Depay made it 3-0 with another tap-in after the break.
From the Netherlands, Memphis Depay drops off looking for Dumfries. Dumfries across the face of goal, a beautiful goal, and he's that man again. Georginio Wijnaldum, who is, well, Depay hands it to the far post. There's a spell there, then Wijnaldum's got his second. July, and it just proves. Dumfries emerges through the traffic, and Depay's on the end of this one.
Smile Prevjak scored the consolation goal for Bosnia-Herzegovina, but it was a dominant performance from the Netherlands, who ended a run of 5 games without a win. Elsewhere, Italy recorded a 2-0 win over Poland to move them a point above the Netherlands at the top of the table. On Wednesday, Italy travelled to Bosnia and the Netherlands are in Poland in the final group games, with the side finishing top of the group qualifying for the Nations League finals. In other matches, Slovakia humbled Scotland 1-0, Georgia lost 2-1 to Armenia, Albania trounced Kazakhstan 3-1, Bulgaria lost 2-1 to Finland, while Belgium trounced England 2-0.
Very well, it's time for us to put a cap on Channel 1 News Hour tonight. As always, thank you, Kenya, for watching. My name is Catherine Achieng'a. Our sign language interpreter this evening is Lensa Odingo. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing, but up next is the weather report with Yusuf Farah. Good night and God bless.
A very good evening to you wherever you're watching us from. My name is Yusuf Farah. Many thanks for keeping it Channel 1. This is your Channel 1 weather updates. Now, the southern half of our country will be having rainfall tonight. Nyeri and Eldoret are staring at 11 degrees, making the areas the coldest tonight. Might want to keep warm in those regions. Tomorrow morning, a warm morning in most parts of the country. From the northeastern region, Mandera, Garissa, Wajir and Isiolo will be having sunny intervals, with areas of Lodwar experiencing the same. Areas of the coastal region, Malindi, Mombasa and Kilifi will be having showers in the morning, accompanied by sunny intervals. In the afternoon, Kisii, Kericho and Kisumu will have rains accompanied by thunderstorms. Showers with sunny intervals continue to dominate areas of Mombasa, Malindi and Kilifi, with the northeastern region and areas of Lodwar and those areas bordering Kenya and South Sudan having sunny intervals in the afternoon. Taking a look at the temperatures, when Lodwar will be having 35 as the high and 25 low, 25 for Marsabit and lows of 18, Garissa 34, lows of 24, and Lamu highs of 32 and lows of 25. That wraps up your local weather focus. Remember to stay warm and maintain social distance. Have a lovely night. This is now your international weather focus.